Hey guys, guess what time it is? It's Romancello time. Uh, so anyway, another great day here in the Eternal City. Um, Started off with a visit to two churches. It's a good way to start off the day, I guess. One was designed by Bernini, and the other one was designed by kind of his rival Borromini. They're both Baroque churches, and they're actually right down the street from each other. Unfortunately, I couldn't get into the Borromini church, so I can only get into the Bernini church, but which is quite beautiful. But hoping the Borromini one will open before I leave. After that, I went to this really cool place called the Galleria Sciarra, and basically it's this office building that was built in the mid 1800s, and the courtyard just has this amazing artwork, and like you would never find this place unless you read about it, because it's just kind of in some street kind of near the Trevi Fountain. Then after that, I went to meet a guide that I'd hired to take me through a place called the Vicus Carparius. Sorry, I had to look at my notes here, which was really cool. But she was absolutely a fantastic guide. So if anyone out there is planning on going to Rome anytime in the near future, let me know. I'll give you her name, because she was just fantastic. So when we were chatting really before the official tour started, she kind of was testing out my Roman history knowledge. And so she started off with, do I know who the first emperor of Rome was? Well, that's easy. It was Augustus. And then if I knew what his birth name is, again, pretty easy. That would be Octavian. But then she threw a curveball at me. She said, did I know Octavian's best friend? And I thought for a minute, then literally I heard myself saying Agrippa, which was correct. And I'm just kind of, shocked that this is taking up room in my brain. I mean, I can tell you there several times a day I will walk into the kitchen and not know why I walked in there. But apparently, if my life depended on knowing who the best friend of the first emperor of Rome, then I'm golden. But anyway, so the first thing we walked to is actually not this site, but this high-end department store. And I'm like, why are we going in here? And so I'm just kind of following her, and we go to the back of the department store, and there's a freaking aqueduct in there. A freaking aqueduct in this department store. Unbelievable. So when they're building it, they found it, and they actually just kind of incorporated it into the back wall. Just unreal. So the place, though, that the main site that we wanted to see, this Vicus, is actually pretty close to the Trevi Fountain, just like a block away. And what it is, it's like what happened was there was this movie theater, and they were building, and they were having kind of some mold problems. So there was some moisture coming from somewhere to start digging. And actually underneath they found this ancient Roman apartment building. Dates to, actually it was after the fire of 64 with Nero. This is kind of one of the buildings he put up to house people who were displaced. So it's right now the oldest apartment building from ancient Rome that they've been able to find. So it's well below street level. And so you have this, it was basically a tenement. And then they, later on, after kind of the collapse of Rome, when the population went from like 1 million down to about 50,000. So people were kind of just doing whatever the hell they wanted. And some wealthy people actually took over some of these old tenement buildings and made them into these amazing domuses, mansions. And so you can see kind of both of those time periods. And they also found this cistern under there, and they knew there were about 18 cisterns around Rome, and this is the only one they've been able to find. So it was super, super cool. I learned all sorts of things, like why the ground, the modern level, is so much above the ancient level. That basically, as Rome, when people left, things started collapsing because they weren't being maintained, and basically the city literally buried itself. So it would collapse, and then the next group would just build on top of that collapse, and then something else would happen and more collapses. So that's literally what happened. The city was literally burying itself. It's so cool, so cool. And I also found out that the apartment buildings back then were like at least 8 stories high. I mean, I just thought they were like maybe 3, 4 at most, but yeah, these things were really high because that's the only place they could do. They had so many people they had to build up. So cool, so cool. So after that, I hopped on the metro and headed down to the Testaccio region, and this is a little bit south of the city. And it's actually famous for Mount Testaccio. That's not one of the 7 hills of Rome. It's actually a giant trash heap. So I've got a video that's going to talk a little bit about that. So very, very cool. There's also a giant pyramid down there. So yeah, you get to see a little bit of kind of Egypt in Rome. This was obviously not an Egyptian pyramid, but someone who was a big fan of Egypt. Then I also what else? Oh, the non-Catholic / Protestant cemetery is down there. Oh my God, that was amazing. And this is where John Keats and Percy Shelley are buried. It's just so cool. It's also where like foreigners were buried. So you walk around and the tombstones just have these amazing descriptions. Like one guy is like, oh, he was just traveling around Italy, discovering all the curiosities and sights, and then apparently expired in Rome. But it talks about all this on his tombstone. There are also lots of cats there. There apparently is a big community cat group there, and they were quite friendly. One almost was coming into my lap. It was great. They had lunch down there at this restaurant that was actually built into this Mount Testaccio, and you can see the levels of the remains of what was there. Very cool. Then I hopped back on the metro and went about 15 minutes down to this place called the Park of the Aqueducts, and this is it's great if you need to get out of the city. It's this park that has the remains of about 6 of the aqueducts that came into the city, and you can just walk along them. I think it goes for several miles, but it's really, really cool. And there are people picnicking there and riding bikes and playing with dogs. It's just a really great place. Then I came back to Termini Station, and I decided to check out. I wasn't all that hungry because I had some pasta for lunch, so I then went down to this new place that they've opened that's attached to Termini. It's called the Mercato Centrale, and it's a marketplace filled with artisanal vendors. So you go to whatever vendor you want, get your meal. I went to a place and got what's called a trapezzini, which is basically kind of a pizza sandwich, and it's like street food, but it had is pumpkin and almonds, and it was really good. And then you can sit. They're just tables kind of in the middle, and they all have a QR code. You scan that and you put in your drink order, whether you want a Coke or a beer or an Aperol Spritz or whatever, and they'll just bring it right to your table. Really cool. There's also one of the gelato places that's in my list of the best in town. Was there. It's a place called Gunther's, and oh my God, I think we have a winner. This place, it was unbelievable. It was so good. But anyway, then came home. Actually, I found this cute little book market as I was walking home, so a few pictures of that. And that's about it. So that's it, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Hey guys, today I'm reporting to you from Mount Testaccio. This is not one of Rome's 7 hills. It's actually an ancient trash heap. There are estimated to be 53 million pieces of pottery shard that make up this hill, which is about 118 feet tall, and it makes up about 4.5 acres, so it's quite large. So what happened is between maybe as early as the 1st century BCE going to 250 in the Common Era, this was a kind of a state-sponsored trash heap, and the pot shards weren't just haphazardly thrown here. They were actually put into, they were like terraced and very, very organized. And they're not quite sure why these particular amphorae were not recycled, because they commonly were either to just reuse again for shipping, or a lot of times for to use as conglomerate in their cement. But these are all the same size of amphorae, so there's probably some reason why they couldn't be reused. And today it's just, unfortunately you can get tours of it. I was not able to get one. But now there are businesses set up all around the hill. I actually ate in a restaurant just earlier where it's actually built right into the hill, and they've got a window so you can see all the pottery shards. And so that's it. So I will see you later.